All right, what's up, guys? I'm Tom Taylor over there. That's Nick Atkin. We got JHK in the bottom of the screen. Coming together on this beautiful Wednesday to unpack a lot of One Championship news. Obviously, been a pretty hectic week on all fronts. The big news, of course, is what? Let me stop right there because we've got Shannon Wiratchai joining us. We weren't sure when he was going to jump in, but here he is, the man, the myth, the legend. Shannon, what's up, man? Oh,
Hello.
there he is. How's it going? Welcome.
It's good. It's good. Wow, everybody here. Like, wow.
Yeah, we got a full house today.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you put headphones?
Oh, headphones. One moment.
yeah.
Just one moment. It's
All right,
hiding
I'll
here.
Let me take Shannon out. Yeah.
I'll give him a second.
Sorry,
there.
we got audio issues. I'll let Shannon put the headphones in, but go for it, Tom. Sorry.
Yeah, well, as I was going to say, it's the big news obviously this week is that Iuri Lapicus, former one lightweight title challenger, passed away on Monday. It sounds like there was a motorcycle accident in Italy last week. Obviously unexpected and heartbreaking, as these things always are. This guy meant a lot to a lot of people in One Championship, I think. Had some tough losses recently, but clearly, at 27, still had a ton of potential and career ahead of him. So that's really the reason we wanted one of the many reasons we wanted Shannon on this podcast today. Shannon, as some of you probably know, was Yuri's first opponent in One Championship. What year was that, Shannon? Do you remember off the top of your head? I think it was 2018, 2019.
Yeah, I think 2019, right? Enter the Dragon in Singapore, I think. Yeah, like, should be. Yeah, many things happened. Like, first, debut for Sage Not cut on the same day. We both broke our face and went to the hospital.
Right.
Yeah. And
right. Well,
yeah.
Well, I want to get into all the the One Championship stuff this week. We're going to get to that after. So Shannon, let me start by saying after we talk about Iuri a little bit, you can jump out at any time. No obligation to stick around. I know it's late over there. So we will get into the One Championship Fight Night 8 stuff in a little while. But of course, first we want to talk a bit about Iuri. I guess first question, Shannon, would be just, what was your reaction to this news on Monday? Obviously, you fought him. What were your thoughts when this happened? It's a terrible thing, right?
Yeah, it's weird feeling. It's weird feeling, and okay, it might sound funny, but especially for me because I was sleeping, and then somehow my wife just came to me because she wake up earlier, and she like, that Yuri he just died, and I was kind of in my sleep. Huh? Okay, and kind of have weird feeling the whole morning, and yeah, it's like I'm not the kind of like a wow or something like that, but I was a little bit like that's kind of weird feeling until the nighttime. I'm feel in the mood like, yeah, I want to say something about him. I was on my computer, keep looking on this old folder to look at the old five photo of me and Yuri, and yeah, I found one, and then I post on my Instagram, my Facebook, a tribute to him. Yeah, it's like yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Oh no, I mean like it's weird feeling. It's not like a sad or like a or like it's not like happy or sad or something like that. It's not that clear, but it's just some feeling of like when you fight somebody, you have something connect to the person or something like that. And like even from that fight, he left two marks on my face. First one is a Harry Potter scar here. Second one is he broke my orbital. Even now it's still numb. He's still numb, and every time I think I'm feeling this numb, I'm thinking about the scar. It's not hate. It's not like something like vengeance. It's just like, yeah, it's good fight. It's a good time. I learned a lot from that and become who I am because of that day, because of that fight. Like he's become like part of my life. Like in my whole history, he's in there already. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just he's there, and then when you know about, okay, he just passed away, it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of weird feeling. Yeah.
That was a beautiful tribute you wrote for him on Instagram. I think a lot of people really appreciated that. It was very well written and very poignant. What are your memories of that fight with him? The fight week itself and the fight itself. Anything that stands out when you look back on that fight with him?
Wow, actually I would say that fight is like there are so many experience from that fight. It's like many things. Like first of all, I was stepping in to fight him because I'm not so sure. I'm thinking he was supposed to fight Amir Khan, and looks like they have some swapping thing happens, and I was decided to move to featherweight already. But then one asked me, well, okay, what about like one more fight in lightweight for to fight Iuri? I look back on all his fight that I can find on YouTube, like wow, he's like good, decent grappler, but I feel like it should be a good test for me to do one last fight for lightweight. He would be a good fight. So yeah, I chose to fight him, and then okay, it's not an excuse, but it's kind of funny thing. I just experienced sleeping 2 hours before the fight, before I fight Yuri. I don't know what happened. I couldn't sleep. Maybe too exciting. It's like, oh, you're excited. I'm gonna fight this guy, and maybe like from Indian food that night. Who knows? But then I didn't sleep well. But when it's come to the fight time, you don't think about sleep well or not. You just like 15 minutes. You just throw all out. You just do all you got, and then yeah, such a fun fight. Like if you watch all his fight, you saw that judo throw from Iuri. He throw every with that, even Christian Lee, even Maratko Furov. But somehow I know that's coming, and then I defend that move, and then we keep scramble. We keep like yeah, we scramble the whole fight actually. Then the second round, I was taken down on the ground, and then I think one elbow that hit my eyes, and I don't know how. Most of people when they get the orbital broken, the whole thing broken. Like Session cut that day, he broke his face. But for me, no, like all the doctors thought it's okay until I did a CT scan. The orbital outside the skull, everything fine, but inside under the eye, it just become a hole. So come on, like Yuri, you just like have like a dunk shoot or something. It's just there. But I didn't know that too at that time. So round two, somehow I just made it through round two. Big Soul and we keep going on round three. It's like I even feel like I almost got him. Like I kind of rock him because he's Thai also. I kind of rock him already. And then he decided to push me to the corner and to do the takedown. I thought I'm fine. I was like, oh, I can defend this easy. And then just at that moment, I feel, oh, oops, I just lost all my gas. Then I got taken down. But I think the real game changer of that fight is when the refs say, okay, you're gonna move to the center of the ring because it's about to get out of the ring. It's like you just run hard and you stop. Same thing, like, oh, defend, oh, got takedown. I'm about to try to defend, try to get up, and then oh, the ref says stop, and I have to move. But at that time, I was like, okay, I'm done. Like I know I'm done. I'm just crawling into the center to get onto the execution platform or whatever. That's what's my feeling. And yeah, it's helped me a lot too because like, oh, but like when I feel he cut me with the elbow, I was like, oh, this like the repeat of my fight with Chiyaoki or what? Oh, I don't care, just turn around. And then when the ref stopped the fight, then he put the choke on me. Like, okay, I got cut, I got choked. I don't know what happened. I don't know anything about this anymore. And I'm tapped. It's like mental for sure. And I'm sure when I watch the fight after, it's very mental fatigue. That's why I gave up because he didn't put the hook. His leg didn't really hook my hips. And but no, that's what strong, like a strong choke. And it was like it's like from here. It's not even from physical. It's like okay, done. I'm done. Then I gave up. Yeah, and that was what my memory from that fight. That's when I got like that's the toughest fight I ever had. I think like bruised face, big cut, orbital broken, need to rest for almost a year until I get back to fight again. But through that time, it's like taught me so many lessons. Like wow, I keep keep how to keep going, how to think about like what is my mistake, like I always mention about I didn't sleep, but and sometimes I can even say using as an excuse. Like, I didn't sleep well, that's why I gassed. But if I almost get to finish him too. If I can do better, find a better way to save my energy or more efficient way to get to the finish, it might be better. So from that fight, I learned to like try to change up my style, how to which part that I can be less scramble and yeah, it's torture. It's like a life changer fight. Learn a lot from that one. And
Well, it
then
was an
after that, he beat Furov. It's like, wow, come on, this man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was an incredible fighter, and he really kind of proved that to win championship fights in his fight with you. Just to give
That's
you a
right.
break, Shannon, John, what was your reaction when this news surfaced the other day? Obviously, Yuri had a ton of potential. I mean, what were your thoughts?
Iuri was the one that was supposed to beat Christian Lee. Remember, heading into that fight, everybody thought he was the shit. Like he was the guy, gonna go in there and take out Christian Lee. I also felt that as well, and he had a pretty good fight in that one. A lot of his fights were really fast, right? Even the Eddie Alvarez fight, he was, I believe he was winning that fight too until those weird punches to the back of the head situation happened. But yeah, it's always tragic to see somebody, taken away so young, so early in their career. It almost seemed like he was still trying to find his footing in the division because he just fought his last fight at welterweight. He fought at Kazakhstan. I mean, I didn't see that coming. So who would have known? Like how far he would have went. Maybe he would have went back to lightweight and fought again down there. Who knows? But yeah, it gives you another reason not to ride a motorcycle. That's what it does. It gives you another reason for your wife to tell you, stay off the bike. Don't ride the bike. Right, Shannon?
Yeah, in Thailand, that's like what they say. The fighter and motorbike, it's not a good thing to go together.
And Nick, what about you, man? You're Mr. One Championship. You cover this organization more closely than anybody. I mean, surely you felt this loss pretty severely. What were your thoughts when this news came out on Monday?
I was weirdly enough riding a bike. I was in a spin class. My feet were going around and around, and then John messaged one of our chat groups, and the text flashed up on my phone. I could see it, and it said, "Oh, damn! It's been a rough year for One Championship. Iuri Lapicus just died." And I was like, "What the hell?" It's just one of those moments that catches you out of the blue. So immediately, my first thought was just what's happened, and then I was thinking, for some reason, I completely forgot he fought Kazakhstan. So I don't know why, and it's almost like that wasn't the real Iuri Lapicus that we had seen. So I was just thinking, oh, is it something to do with the fight against Eddie? He got hit in the back of the head and he had hematomas there. And I was thinking, is it some sort of injury complication? But no, it was just a motorcycle crash. And like you say, I don't intend to ever really ride a motorcycle, but I'm not going to judge anyone who does. But I do think it's dangerous, but it is a tragedy. And like John said, the guy looked like he had so much potential. A lot of the comments here say the potential was the saddest thing. And I remember, when he beat Shannon, that was a real statement, wasn't it? And then even bigger statement, he choked out Gafarov very, very quickly. I think within a minute. That's a former champion, incredible statement there. And like John said, he was favored, I think, by some people to beat Christian Lee. And I thought, damn, this might be the guy that stops Christian. Christian ultimately made it look easy, but there was a question there as well with Christian hitting him in the back of the head. So Iuri didn't have much luck with the illegal blows. And the Eddie Alvarez fight, that was weird. Who knows would have won that fight. Eddie was looking good at the time, I think. So I don't know. Eddie would say he was on his way to getting a finish there, but you never know what happened. Iuri was in a compromised spot against the cage, but we'll never know. And the Kazakhstan one, I wasn't really sure why he was going up to welterweight. I thought he still had business to take care of at lightweight. He could have come back and redone the Eddie Alvarez thing. That was still there always. And I don't think it would have taken too long to get another shot at Christian Lee. And I thought that was a mistake, and it didn't go well for him. But, Iuri Lapicus still had so much time left in his career. He's 27 years old. So that's the worst thing about this. Just like with Victoria Lee, 18 years old, we're just mourning the deaths of fighters who should not be dead. They should still be alive, still be fighting. And that's the saddest thing. But anyway, I've lost the train of thought. I've just been rambling a bit. So I'll throw it back to you, Tom. Sorry about that.
Yeah, ramble away, man. That's why we're here, to kind of share our thoughts on this unfortunate news. Shannon, as I said already, feel free to leave at any time. But before you do, I'd love to get your thoughts, on Iuri a little bit more. After you fought him, people keep mentioning his potential, right? How much potential he had, and what a tragedy this is. Based on that, after your fight, what did you think the future held for this guy? Obviously after he beat Murat, that was the real statement. But after you fought him, what did you think the future held for him?
No, actually, after the fight with me, I would say I didn't know yet because like at that time I was like, it's a little bit of like you just lost to somebody and you're not really like feel defeat. It might not be like some any thought about him yet. And then I saw his fight with Marat. Before the fight happened, it was like, oh, are you serious? You're gonna fight Marat? I don't think he will make it. I don't think he will make it. And then he proved me wrong, and somehow I was happy. It's like weird feeling when someone you feel happy that somebody proved you wrong, and that was like amazing. One low kick, judo throw, right to the rear naked choke, the move that Marat always finished people with. I think from that fight when he got his chance for the title shot, I feel like, okay, he deserved it. He deserved it for sure because that was amazing. That was flawless finishing.
So did you when he was fighting Christian, did you kind of have a feeling that he might be the guy? A lot of people felt that way. I think that he could beat Christian potentially and win that title. Having fought him, what did you think at the time?
Oh, I would be honest. At first, again, I don't know, maybe because I lost to him at that. Yeah, I was like, maybe he's not gonna make it with Christian. But again, even he didn't make it, but he proved me wrong. That judo throw, he got Christian down to the ground. Even he got finished by Christian, like Nick just mentioned. It was kind of on the back of the head, but I'm not sure. I even think like, oh no, that's back of the head. Man, come on. But with one's rule, sometimes like you intend to get away, to not getting punched by moving away with a submission move or whatever is kind of legal or not. But I think that those shots are a little bit sketchy. So he's again like kind of proved me wrong. I was, wow, this man is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you think, obviously, unfortunately, his career ended with a few losses. There was the Eddie Alvarez no contest and the loss to Christian Lee, and then later to Kadestam at welterweight. And people, fans of this sport, we're very unforgiving. You lose a few fights and people sort of write you off. But do you think he had the potential to turn things around and still become a contender at lightweight or welterweight? Do you think that was still possible?
Yeah, possible for sure. I want to see his fight with Alvarez more than what we saw. That fight was so unclear. I would be like, okay, I will step back to this about that finishing after, but I was like, no, that was still not finished. I would like to see him in lightweight more, and then he went up to welter. Kadestam is huge and strong. What I remember, Lapicus was kind of my size in lightweight, but he's just pure muscle, just all muscle. But to go up to welter, you need to be much bigger. So I don't, and he's still in his good shape, in the lean shape. So I don't know too. Like when I saw the highlight, I know that the fight happened when I saw the highlight of the knockout or something. And oh wow! But even he got knocked out, Kadestam broke his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know, Shannon, you're a very classy guy. You never have any hostility with your opponents or anything like that. And of course, you and Iuri, after your fight, it was this great fight, a war that left you both with some injuries.
Oh.
Obviously,
can I mention something can I go on something real quick? Actually, it's something that I learned from yesterday, man. You just mentioned I'm classy, but I would confess, like I was thinking about this when John just mentioned about the back of the head finish. I didn't post one thing on IG, but I post this thing I forgot on my Facebook page. I kind of made fun of Iuri after he lost to Eddie, but not in a bad way, because if you go back to watch my fight with Iuri, there was one. It's kind of funny. Like I was in the guard, he's on top of me. I hit him. It's kind of a bit like here, not really in the back of the head. He was okay until the ref like, don't hit the back of the head, and he's like, oh, right away. Looks like it's a little bit like his trick or whatever about the back of the head. So with my fight, that's some issue about back of the head. With Christian Lee's fight, yes, that's clearly some back of the head issue. With Eddie Alvarez fight, another back of the head issue. So I kind of made video making fun of him. but no hatred, no hate or whatever. Yeah, I just want to make fun about you. But if our fight gonna happen again, let's see. But yeah, like we in this sport, like I kind of learned something that we don't really hate each other. Like when things happen, like I feel like yeah, it's fun to make fun about you. That at that time when you're still active, when you're still whatever, like let's see things happen, what gonna happen or whatever. But when things happen, there's no hate in it. It's just I feel like happy to call him brother. Like he's.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, after the fight, did you ever exchange any messages with him or run into him at any one championship shows or anything? Was there any contact with him at all after the fight?
It's sad. No chance. No chance because the only like interaction we had before the fight, and I'm not sure I mentioned to Nick before. Like I was in the breakfast room, and the whole of his gang, Petrosian brother, himself, manager. Maybe he's like, oh, this guy, I'm fighting this guy next 2 days, and think about their face. They're all looking at me like this, like. And I was like, I'm sorry, I'm just eating my salad. No, but that's before the fight, and their face just like kind of like that, they rarely smile, and they would say, I never saw Petrosian smile until he got that $1 million from the tournament. He's like, yeah, that's the only interaction I had with him outside of the fight. So then after the fight, no chance, kind of sad. No chance to know him more than just that 15 minutes,
Well, Nick and John, do you have anything you want to ask Shannon? I know, Shannon, you said you want to do about 20 minutes, and we're past that now, so I'll give you an out here. But Nick and John, any questions for him? And if not, Shannon, just what are your kind of lasting memories of Iuri Lapicus?
Wow. Yeah, like he may be the first one who made me know about proving people wrong in a positive way, like to be honest, when I took the fight with him, he was like on the 12 win streak or something, and I okay, so to be honest, I look back on his opponent record. I feel like some Albert Cardenio. I feel like this man maybe not like a real deal, big deal for me or whatever. I gotta take this fight. Let's see what he got, and then he proved me wrong. He got it. He got it. His skill to pay the bill, and then with Marat, he proved me wrong, and maybe more for order to many people wrong, but for me, like, wow, he proved me wrong. I respect him for that. He proved me wrong even with Christian. Even before that finish happened, well, he did well. He did so good. Christian ran toward him. He just threw him over. Yeah, like, yeah, I think you can just be like the dark horse. Nobody know about you at all, and then boom, you just show the world what you really made of. That's just him, I think.
That's beautiful, man. Nick, it looked like you had something to add there. Or
no, I don't. It's tough, man. But I as soon as it happened, I remembered Shannon had fought him, so I thought it would be great for Shannon to come on the show today, and I really appreciate you doing it, Shannon. I thought you'd be the perfect person to speak about this. So thank you again, and I think we're going to discuss the show coming up on Saturday. So if you want to discuss, please hang around. If you need to go, please go.
Maybe you have to go because.
Yeah, I know.
But can I add one last thing real quick before I go?
Yeah, do your thing.
Yeah, if you guys have any devastating news, don't tell others when the person is in their sleep.
All right. Good advice.
To see it. It's gonna make some weird day for others.
Is that a little hit on your wife? A little.
No, she's staring at me like this.
She's watching.
I wake her up. Now. So she's be like, okay.
All right,
so I have to become a good husband. Let my wife sleep.
Yeah, understood. Well, we appreciate the time, and it was great of you to come on and talk about Iuri. Of course, very sad news, and it was great to get your insights.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
My pleasure too. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, man. See you later.
Yeah, see you. Bye.
All right. And then
Fun
there were
fact,
3.
dude, about Shannon is that he's the only fighter that went like past the second round with
That's
Iuri.
true, man.
All of Yuri's fights ended in the first round. Even like early in his career, he would either finish the fight or get finished in the first round. Shannon's the only one that actually went like past that and even into the third round, which is pretty wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
it's
think
true. Yeah.
a lot of people
Go ahead,
sleep on Shannon, to be honest. Sorry. he got forgotten about, and then, but like John said, I think he pushed Iuri harder than anyone did, and I just, to tie it back in, I can't wait to see Shannon come back again to the circle or the ring, wherever it is, Limpini. I think he has so much still to give, and it's great that we know him and we can call him up, get him on the show. And I think I'm so glad for a new generation of One Championship fans are going to get to know him, hopefully, as well. And he's killing it with his commentary stuff on Channel 7. He's doing some media work with them for Limpini. So I'm just really happy, John, to see Shannon up and at him. When we saw him in Bangtao last summer, he was still waiting for a fight. Still didn't know what's going on, but now everything seems to be going well for him again, right?
Exactly. That's good. You know what I mean? We did it for him. We'll take responsibility for that.
Yeah. It's all
I think
us.
you fairly can. I mean, Nick, you pushed pretty hard for him to get a fight during that hiatus he had. I think, maybe not full credit, but you can take a good chunk of the credit for that, I'd say.
It's all Shannon, though. At the end of the day, who's going to listen to me anyway? I'm just a lowly reporter scumbag, a media scumbag, as Dana White would say. What have I got to say? Come on.
Chatri says the same thing, so
I'm not going to refute any of that. I've met you. That's all true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, anything else to add about Iuri, guys, before we move on? Obviously, a sad week, and it's kind of, Nick, I think you would agree, hard to shake the feeling that this is just a bad year for One Championship so far in terms of this kind of news. Obviously, we lost Victoria in January, and the two things are unrelated, but I think a lot of people are still kind of digesting that, and then to have this happen, it's a lot for sure, right?
Yeah, it's a little different, the feeling, I think. Obviously, it's still sad and everyone's sad, but I think the circumstances of Victoria, everyone was completely just destroyed by that. And I think when we know why someone died and we can explain it like it is a motorcycle crash, I think it makes it easier to digest. And it's just one of those things where it's still a tragedy, it's still a shock, but it's explainable. What happened to Victoria is just still hard to comprehend. So with Iuri, it's very sad, but I think I'm hoping One are going to do a tribute like they did with Victoria, pay tribute somehow with a graphic, a video. I think they will. They showed that they're compassionate and they put out a statement for Iuri. So let's see what they do. Who knows if it's going to be as emotional as the Victoria tribute was, but they'll do something, I'm sure, and that's what Iuri deserves. And hopefully everyone can come together and just remember how great he was and the potential he had. I don't know what else to say, though. I don't have too much to add. I wasn't. We only saw 5 fights of him in one, there was still so much to go. So it's hard to. Yeah, that's the lasting thing for me is just we should have seen him fight at least 10 more times. I think in one. 27 is crazy. I didn't even realize he was that young. I honestly didn't. I thought he was 30 or something at least.
Yeah, and John, I mean, what about you? What do you think the best way to honor somebody like Iuri is in terms of One Championship? Is a video package during Saturday or Friday's broadcast the right move? What do you think the best way for one to acknowledge this is?
That's it. I mean, there's not really much extra you can do. I mean, just pay tribute and move on. Like Nick said, we know like what happened to him, so there's not that shroud of mystery surrounding it, so people are not going to linger on it. I mean, people can have closure with it. And all One Championship can do this weekend, pay tribute and remember him. And maybe they should start having like some kind of like remembrance Hall of Fame, something, that they could have, that they could put into the stadium somehow. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they could do it. But yeah, just move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's get it over.
Yeah. Well said, man. Obviously a very sad thing, but we do have to move on. And there are fights this weekend. Hopefully, Iuri Lapicus gets some kind of tribute during those fights. But let's get into the fights themselves. Nick, you're obviously on the ground there in Singapore, soaking it all in, mingling with people. The big news, obviously, is that the main event, the original main event, of course, was Arjun Bhullar and Anatoly Malikin. That fell through for mysterious reasons that still don't make sense to a lot of people, perhaps. And then we had Rodtang versus Superlek, which frankly was a great consolation prize for the main event, an epic fight. That's now fallen through too. Rodtang is out. Daniel Williams is in on short notice against Superlek for the kickboxing title. Where do we start with this, Nick? What happened to Rodtang? Do you know?
So all I know is I've been told injury, but it's unspecified injury. I have no idea if that is the case, or if he just was not going to make weight. We've seen Rodtang not make weight a few times, and we've seen him pull out. He pulled out of the Grand Prix, his semi-final with Savas, just the day before the weigh-in. I'm just spitballing. I'm just speculating. I'm not trying to insinuate I know anything about this, but I saw Rodtang. He had his second wedding ceremony in Bangkok over the weekend as well. Super Bomb was there, a few others, Pet Tanong. So who knows? Maybe he had a few too many slices of wedding cake, and then was not able to make weight. And I think one would. Again, I'm speculating, but is it worth risking Rodtang losing his title on the scale, something like that? These are just conspiracy theories I'm putting out there. It might be an injury, but I've seen Rodtang posting training videos on Instagram all week as well. He even put one up yesterday of him training. So I don't know what this is. I don't know who runs his social media account, but Superlek said he was told on Monday that Rodtang was injured in training, and then Rodtang's team or him, whoever's still putting out videos of him training. So I don't know. Whole thing's a little bit. I wish we had more details. Yeah, so it'd be good if they said he's got a left leg injury or whatever. But I'll take them at their word for it. Let's go with it. He's injured. I don't want to be conspiracy theory man here. So it was a bit of a hectic morning. I was told that I was in the buffet having my omelet and turkey bacon and my coffee, and and then I get a message saying Rodtang will not be doing an interview with you today. You will have to postpone it for another day. I thought that's classic Rodtang. And then I get another. He's not the most tardy guy, but then we get another message saying also Daniel Williams, Superlek won't be doing an interview with today. Oh God, who's going to even do one with me? I've got no friends here. Come on. And then eventually I got the word that Rodtang was injured and Daniel stepping in to fight Superlek. So we got the interviews with Superlek and Daniel in the end, and we did the media day. Fired out 13 interviews. 6 of them are up now, or 5, I think, on YouTube. So check them out after the show, please. And we'll put the rest up over the next 24 hours. It's going to be a hectic day, Tom. Hectic week. We got press conference tomorrow morning here in Singapore at the indoor stadium. And then we've got the weigh-ins, official weigh-ins back at the hotel here, the Kitchener Park Royal, where I'm staying. It's all go, baby.
Yeah, I mean it's always hectic during one championship fight weeks. This one sounds a little more hectic, maybe, with all these changes. I don't know about you guys, but the first thing that popped into my head when I heard this Rodtang news was, if he's injured, is this going to affect his ability to fight on the Denver card in May? Because of course he's on that one as well. He's supposed to fight Edgar Tabares, I think is his name, a guy from Mexico making his debut. He's supposed to defend his Muay Thai title there. So hopefully, if it is an injury, it's not something that's going to keep him out for any longer than like a week or two, because he has another fight to train for. So Nick, I would love to, if you hear anything about that, do keep us posted.
Well, I'll do my best, but I thought it was very, very unlikely Rodtang was going to make both of these fights. I thought he would do this one and then skip the second one, but hopefully he makes the second one.
What's the history between Superlek and Rodtang?
I don't think they've actually fought before, but everyone wants to see them fight, right? And now Superlek has the kickboxing title, Rodtang has the Muay Thai title. they've sort of been on a collision course for a while. So this is disappointing for a lot of people. This is not just some random main event falling through. This is a fight that people had been kind of aching to see for a long time. And even in one, this could have happened a year ago or even 2 years ago, probably, but they sort of had different plans for the two guys. And finally, when Superlek won that vacant title in January, I think it seemed, and Rodtang won a kickboxing bout on that same card, it sort of seemed like they'd almost left one with no choice but to make that fight. So this is disappointing, right, Nick?
Well, yeah, I think it was originally meant to be the final of the flyweight Muay Thai Grand Prix. That's what they were targeting, right? Perfect.
I wonder,
Superlek and Rodtang.
I wonder what the narrative is in Thailand, though, like amongst the Muay Thai community in Thailand, because I'm pretty sure him pulling out, there's a lot of rumors flying around, right? Like you said, the injury, like it's not specified. He was at his why would he have a second wedding a week before a fight? That doesn't make any sense at all.
It makes zero sense.
Yes. Like, why couldn't you wait 2 weeks? Why would you have that? That doesn't make it. It's, I don't know. It can stir the pot, right? And people could start to have, theories, conspiracy theories. They can come out. And I wonder what the Thai community is saying, man. That's something that I'm interested in, because these are two of the biggest stars in Muay Thai, right? That were going to battle for a belt, and everybody wanted to see it, especially in Thailand. Those rumors can come out, like, is Rodtang ducking Superlek?
The other thing you got to consider, and I'm half serious about it, is it's Ramadan just started, and Rodtang's now a Muslim, right? Is he practicing Ramadan? Does he want to fight with no food? And the fight it'd be tough, wouldn't it? You can only eat after sundown and before sunrise. Is that right? So
I believe so. Yeah.
Who knows if he's taking it seriously, as he says he was? You don't want to fight Superlek while you're fasting. You don't want to fight anyone really, but Superlek is not the one.
Are they? Yeah, and they overbooking him all the time? Is that kind of what's happening here? Because he's pulled out of fights before, right? So just seems like, why are they keep booking him back to back? With everything that's going on with him in his life, outside of fighting as well.
He's their biggest star, I think, genuinely, and he does big numbers. I can attest to it on YouTube or Google, everything, all the metrics, and other MMA editors have told me the same thing. He also has appealed to the American audience, so it made sense that they booked him on the US card. But I think they're very over-reliant on him, perhaps, to bring that audience in, and maybe it's tough for him to always keep doing these back-to-back fights. It's a bit relentless, he's seemingly booked every 2-3 months at the moment.
Well, he's definitely got some cachet with American fans, like you said, Nick. I think it took a little while for him to kind of catch on, for people to recognize who he was, but now he's got this reputation as this hard-charging, kind of borderline unbeatable tank, really, right? And the DJ fight obviously helped people kind of get acquainted with him, but now people know who he is, and he's a huge star in Thailand, as we all know. So yeah, I think this is a disappointing one for a lot of people, and he's been so busy this year.
Followers. Sorry to interrupt. Nearly a million on Instagram. So I don't think there's many Thai fighters who have that sort of following on Instagram.
I think he has been super busy with his wedding and converting religions and Ramadan. That's that's an interesting theory, Nick. Because some fighters are able to train through Ramadan and fight during Ramadan, but for the most part, these are not people who are practicing Ramadan for the first time. Someone like Habib, I think, has done this before, but he's been practicing Ramadan his whole life, and the fasting would take a real toll on a training camp, especially if it's your first time trying to juggle those two things, right? So again, total speculation, conjecture, but it's possible.
Yeah, I think there is a rule in, you have a very loose understanding of it, that, but if you're a construction worker or something like that, you don't have to fast at this particular time, because it's dangerous for you to not eat. You could hurt yourself or someone else, so you just pick another time to do it. So there is ways for sports people, I guess, to get around it. But I have no idea if Rodtang was going to do it or not. And it's interesting. But I was considering that was going to be the thrust of my interview with him was, how are you doing this? Are you doing Ramadan, and how's it going to affect your training camp and your fight with Superlek? So the hopes have been dashed, Tom. I was looking forward to that. I thought it'd make a very interesting article, but
yeah. Well, let's move on to the fight we do have. Obviously, Daniel Williams has stepped up. Not quite as good of a fight, but everyone loves Daniel Williams. He's a guy who's really kind of caught on with fans just because he's always exciting, win, lose, or draw. He obviously had a very close fight with Rodtang a few years ago, and now suddenly is in a title shot despite losing his last MMA fight. John, I'll go to you first. I mean, what do you think about this short notice matchup? Is this a good kind of backup option in your opinion?
I think they had no other choice, right? It's just they had to fill it in because the Buller Malakin fight fell through. I think if the Buller Malakin fight was still there as the main event, they could have probably just rebooked this title fight between Rodtang and Superlek. But since it's not, if they would have took this fight off the card, then you would have the women's Muay Thai, right? The Muay Thai fight, the championship fight as the main event. And that's only one title fight, which, one championship, they like to have at least 2 or 3 on a card. So, Daniel Williams comes in, he's a guy that's all action, and that's what they want. They want some guy that's going to go in there and pressure Superlek and make him fight and not just like dance around. And Superlek is an opportunity to either get a highlight reel finish or have because he's the clear favorite, in this fight. But you never know, man. Sometimes in one championship, you got these types of matchups, and then you think one guy is heavily favored, and some guy from Australia surprises everybody. We've seen a couple guys, right, in the Super Series from Australia come in and knock off like a big name. I forgot who that other guy was. It Tonin or Tenin?
Josh Tonner.
Is it Josh Tonner? He came in and he sparked somebody. Like he was
he won a title.
Underdog. A title, right? Yeah, we've seen it before. So I wouldn't put it past Daniel Williams to go in there, and if he just goes berserker because he has nothing to lose and gets a knockout or rocks Superlek or something and wins this fight, I wouldn't be surprised. But technically, of course, Superlek is at another level compared to a lot of these guys. So, but I'm expecting a good fight. A really good one.
Yeah, and it's a great main event. As you said, John, Daniel Williams is just always moving forward. He at the very least will force Superlek to fight. Nick, were you surprised at all though that this was the main event fight and that they didn't move Janet and Alicia up, because that's a champion versus champion fight? There's some kind of heat on that one, some anticipation after the last attempt at doing this fight was canceled. Would that maybe have been a better main event for this card than this short notice kickboxing fight?
In a word, yes. I agree with you. I think it should be the new main event. I think it's more. I'm looking forward to this fight most, and I think even before Malakin and Buller fell off and Rodtang went out, I was looking forward to this fight the most. So I think it would be a worthier main event. I think it's got the prestige that, with no disrespect to Daniel, how much we love him here, but Daniel's a fill-in. He's a replacement for this fight, and that fight is not as big to me now as Janet and Alicia. So I think it would be better to bump that one up. Yeah, I hope that's no disrespect to Daniel, because he's great fun. He's always fun to watch. I know he's gonna bring it. He's gonna do everything he can. It's gonna be a fun fight, however long it lasts. It could be one round. It could go the whole 5. So I'm intrigued to see it. But if you look at it on the surface, does Daniel Williams, should he have a kickboxing title shot at flyweight? No, he's not fought. I don't think he's even fought kickboxing in one. He's fought Muay Thai and MMA. So it's hard to justify that other than as this late replacement. And I'm glad that they've put it together. But as John said, I think they had no other choice. And if they'd still had Buller Malakin, they would not have rebooked this. They would have not made this fight. So I still want to see it. It's going to be great. And I love Daniel. and I love Superlek, and I can't wait to see it. But yeah, I think Janet and Alicia should now be the new main event. That's my hot take, Tom.
That's I don't think that's that hot of a take. I would tend to agree with you there, Nick. As you said, several times we love Daniel at SCMP. He's been really good to us. Superlek also has given us some great interviews. I've sort of gotten a bit of a rapport going with him despite the language barrier. Great guys. But let's call this matchup for what it is. Daniel Williams is taking it on short notice. He's coming up from strawweight, fighting at a heavier weight class against a bigger guy in a sport he hasn't competed in and won. The odds are stacked against him in this one. I'll pitch this to both of you guys, starting with John, and then we can move on to the other fights. Can Daniel Williams win the title this weekend? Is it possible, John? What do you think?
Yeah, I give him a 10% chance. Just being honest.
I think that's fair.
I see
man,
a decision. I see a decision win for Superlek. This is my prediction.
And Nick?
Well, Daniel, I had an interview with him, and everyone, you should go check it out later. But Daniel said the Jeremy Miato fight, where it was a third round knockout loss. I think it was late last year. He said he wasn't in the right. I know fighters always say this. They always say, "Oh, I wasn't myself. This or that happened." But Daniel sort of explained why he really wasn't firing on all cylinders for that one, and I took him at his word for it. So he says he's in far better shape and far better mental side for this one. So that's a scary thought for Superlek. But Superlek is really damn good. A lot of people were picking Superlek to beat Rodtang. So, my gut's going to say a Superlek decision. I don't think Daniel's going to get finished here. He's going to have the bit between his teeth. This is going to be the biggest day of his life, so... But I don't think anyone can beat Superlek on 3 days' notice without preparing for it. You know what I mean? If Daniel Williams had 6 months to prepare for it and he had a few kickboxing fights on the way to that to really ease himself into this sport and this division and everything, then maybe he's got a much better shot. Do you know what I mean? It's tough for anyone to come in. But on the flip side of that, I was talking to someone else last night about how in MMA you get a lot of shocking things, like Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping's whole situation now as a UFC Hall of Famer, as a UFC commentator, is basically off a couple of crazy breaks he got in terms of the Anderson Silva fight and then the Rockhold fight. It was, I want to say luck, but he was there to take advantage of these moments, right? So who knows? Like John also said, Josh Tonner coming in, shocking the world. It can happen. It really can happen, Tom. So my head still says Superlek though, but I love Daniel. I really do. So I'll be the most happy, the most pleased for him if he does it, because the guy has always, from the first minute he's been in one championship, just been completely bonkers. That fight with Rodtang. What a way to introduce yourself to fans.
Yeah, well said, man. I agree with everything you guys said. Being realistic, you'd be kind of foolish to pick against Superlek in this fight just based on the circumstances alone. It's just so hard. Under the best circumstances, this is a tough fight for Daniel Williams, and the circumstances are not exactly great for him. But still a good fight, and the cool thing about it is that he has the opportunity to not only win the title but shut a whole fandom worth of people up, right, including us. Which is pretty cool, and I would love to see him pull it off, certainly. And I think he can. It's certainly possible, as you guys said.
We got to consider the weight difference as well.
Right?
He's going to be a lot smaller, and yeah.
Well, I think
it's an important
I think
variable.
the approach that he should have is he should just go in there and just go balls to the wall, pressure, throw haymakers until he's just dead tired. Because strategically, he has nothing, right? You need time to prepare for someone like Superlek. Superlek is a technician, right? He's going to sit there and break you down. So he's not going to go in there and out-strategize Superlek, right? And out-technique Superlek. So you just got to go in there and go balls to the wall. That's what Daniel Williams needs to do. And if he does, you never know what's going to land, man. Dan Henderson made a career out of it, right? So we'll see.
Yeah, that's a good strategy for this fight, and I think there's a really good chance that'll be the strategy that Daniel uses, because that's kind of his strategy every time. It's a little bit more refined sometimes, but he's not the kind of guy who tends to take backwards steps. Well, let's move on to some of these other fights because we're closing in on an hour already. We got some other fights to get to. Let's unpack the co-main event a bit, a couple of the other big fights on the bill, and then we'll get to some fan questions before we call it. Co-main event, though, as we've said, a main event worthy fight. Janet Todd and Alicia Rodriguez fighting for the atomweight Muay Thai title. Alicia is the undisputed champion. Janet, of course, is the interim champion. She captured that belt while Alicia was out giving birth to her first child. There's a lot at play here, and a lot of it, in my opinion, is on Alicia's side, just because she is coming back from her first childbirth. We cannot begin to comment on how difficult that is, having never given birth ourselves, but I hear it's difficult. Angela made it look pretty easy, but I've heard it's a challenge. What do you think, Nick? I mean, how is Alicia going to look after this layoff and what she's been through?
I think it's been a long time since she gave birth, right? And we're not talking 6 months. It's at least a year, I think, right? So I think she'll be fine. I think she actually said to me today she's feeling even better than she was in December when they were 2 days away from fighting before Janet got COVID. So she definitely looks in great shape. I'm sure she is in great shape. I don't think that's going to play a part at all. No rustiness or anything. Janet's not fought for a while either. And even before she last fought, she was away for a while. They're going to be ready to go. Both of them told me, they're coming for war, basically. That's why I think it should be the main event. It's going to be so good, this fight. I think we're going to see a really technical 5-round epic masterpiece.
Right. And, just having spoken to both of them, I spoke to both of them in December when they were supposed to fight, and they both seemed very confident, obviously, until, Janet got COVID and that fight fell through. What is the vibe like this week, speaking to them? I mean, what kind of energy are these two women radiating? Who seems more confident? Who seems better prepared based on, the conversations you've had?
It's so funny how different their personalities are. I'm sure you can attest this. You got Janet is just this insane ball of energy, bubbly, and then Alicia is so kind of just quiet and brooding and really short sentences, doesn't say much. But then they're both incredibly violent in the ring, in the cage. But speaking to them, the two very different interviews. I'll say that much. But neither of them seems like they're not fully confident they're going to be unifying the belt and taking the undisputed atomweight Muay Thai championship home, whether it's to Phuket Fight Club or to Boxing Works.
Well said, man. It's a crazy fight. John, what are your thoughts on this one? Obviously, we've been waiting for quite a while to see these two fight. There's an undisputed title on the line. This is going to kind of settle a lot of things in this weight class. How do you see this one going? What are your thoughts on this one?
There's so many variables in this fight, right? Like, you got Alicia, she hasn't fought since August of 2020. Think of that. August of 2020. She only fought once for the promotion, won the title, and then just went on vacation, right? And had a baby and took her sweet time to come back. I know this fight was scheduled previously and Janet Todd got COVID, but Janet Todd's also 37 years old, and I wonder when age is going to catch up to her, especially when Alicia, she's only 24, but she fights like she's 27, 28. She fights like she's in her prime. When she fought Stamp, I don't think a lot of people gave her a chance, and she went in there and took Stamp out, right? I think this fight is going to be one in the clinch. And there's going to be a lot of clinch fighting in this one. And I feel like Alicia's maybe better in that aspect. And, Janet Todd might, I don't know if you could give her the edge on like the elbows and all of that, but I think just controlling, maybe Alicia's going to be stronger there. I have no idea. Once you give birth and come back, it seems like those women are much stronger, right? Physically. You've seen it with other women as well, right? They're just I don't know, something happens to them physically that changes them. So I'm gonna go with Alicia in this fight. I think she's gonna go in there. I don't think anybody's gonna get finished though. I think we're gonna see a long fight. It's gonna go to the judges, and Alicia's gonna get the decision win over Janet Todd. I feel like Janet Todd, the age is going to catch up. 37 is not young for a female fighter, man. How many female fighters do you see at 37 years old? Not many.
Not many. You're right. But Janet Todd, the benefit for her is she hasn't fought a ton. It's not like she's fighting every 2 months, like a lot of fighters in Thailand are every 2 weeks or whatever. I don't think she's taken a ton, and she's winning her fights too. It's not like she's getting brutally knocked out. I don't think she's taken a ton of punishments. So, while we're doing predictions, I'll offer a counter to that, John. I think Janet, if she moves well, if her footwork is good, I think if she can get the jab going and get to work with her boxing, maybe keep it out of the clinch, try to keep it at range a little bit better. The speed will favor her, I think, and I think she can win a decision that way. Nick, what do you think? You have to make a pick here. Which way do you see this going?
Well, I was just gonna, for contrarian sake, go with Janet, but now you've gone with it, so I feel I'm the deciding vote. Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I'm gonna have to give a real opinion. I don't know. I think, hey, look, I'll say it like this: Sexyama proved age is just a number, guys. On physical 100, 47 is nothing. He was hanging with some of these guys who were 25, 26, and then he got to the semi-final or the final, whatever you want to call it. I think it was the semi-final. Look, Janet Todd, yeah, she may be 37, but she doesn't look it. I think I'm just going to give it to Janet. I got the edge. I'm going to give the edge to her. She is. I've just seen more of Janet, so I know more about it. I've only seen one fight from Alicia, and it was very, very good, obviously. But I just Janet's so violent, and she's got that. I think she's got that finishing power I've not seen from Alicia, but that is purely, just because I haven't seen enough of her. We haven't seen her, like John said, since August 2020, and that was her only fight in the promotion. Well, I've seen Janet Todd finish women in very violent ways. I've seen her fold them like accordions. I've seen them drop to the canvas. We were there in Tokyo, Tom, for that fight. Century.
Mm-hmm.
What a finish. I've seen her finish Annalena Hogstad, that liver kick. Wow, vicious. I thought it might be 5 rounds, but if there's a finish, I see it being Janet Todd, and I'm going with Janet. And I might be wrong. I'm often wrong. So don't put money on it, anyone. But that's my gut feeling.
That's a good breakdown. You've made some compelling points here, Nick. I think you probably convinced a lot of people. A lot of people are going to go be betting their life savings now because of that breakdown. Of course, nobody do that, please. I do want to move on to this Itsuki fight. I feel like this is a big talking point. But first, something that needs to be addressed about this Alicia and Janet fight. Does the Anissa Mexican situation, Nick, in your opinion, sort of cast a shadow over this one?
Oh, neither of them bit when I threw that out there. I was trying to get someone on the hook, a little fish for dinner. But no, neither of them went for it. They're not. I don't think they give a damn about Anissa. Right now they're fully focused on each other. And then even if Alicia beats Janet, I think, Leo Elias was saying they want to go and fight Stamp again or something. So I don't know. It doesn't seem like Anissa is really in their thinking. And I think Janet wants to do other stuff. And look, Anissa wants to leave one championship. She's booked to fight in Aries. So I want to see Anissa fight Janet. I still do. I want to see Anissa fight Alicia. But if Alicia doesn't want to do it, we got to all move on.
Yeah, it sort of seems like people are moving on both sides of that, and it's disappointing in a lot of ways, but also maybe ultimately for the best. And this just was not a match that was meant to be. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Nope. I think Anissa's
right.
over. I think it's done for her. You know what I mean? It's just there's just too many complications and too much bad mouthing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't work out too well in this situation. And a tidbit about Alicia: she was actually brought in to lose to Stamp when she was brought in to fight Stamp, and she went in there and won that fight. You know what I mean? I think she still has a chip on her shoulder, and this is another reason to prove everybody wrong. I'm very excited for this one because we've seen Janet Todd over the years kind of build a reputation while Alicia has been gone, and win titles. She's titles for 2 divisions or two martial arts, right? So yes, it's a good one, man. I think it's flying under the radar, to be honest with you. More people should be talking about this, especially in the Muay Thai world. But There's no,
Yeah.
there's you know what's missing in one championship, a Thai Muay Thai champion, like even a contender, right? Do we
Mhm.
even have that since Stan? I don't even think
Like in
we
the
do.
in the women's side, you mean?
Yeah, on the women's side.
Yeah. No, not really.
Yeah, and
I mean, there's
if
a couple,
once we get that in the mix, then I think there will be more attention drawn to the division. But not until then.
We've
Well,
got
okay, so
JDB in the comments here. I assume this is the real JDB. It does sound like something he might say these days. This man's ready to fight. I don't know who we have to call, who we have to bully to get John DeBella a fight, but the champ is ready, and the guy he just beat is fighting this weekend, Zhang Peimin. So I don't know what's going on, but hopefully we can get
well,
JDB a fight soon.
so I interviewed Zhang Pamian earlier, and then Zhang did a little clip saying, I put a clip of Zhang saying, John DeBella, keep holding that belt for me. I'm coming back for it. I've just put it on Instagram, and you know me, I like to stir up everything like that, stir the pot. Gonna tag
Chef
my
Nick.
boy Chef Nick, tagging my boy John DeBella, tagging Team DeBella. I know these guys, they're gonna reply, and they did reply. So I want to see that rematch, but I want to see John DeBella fight anyone right now. That man should not be sitting at home. He should be fighting before the guy he beat to win that title. You know what I mean? As good as Zhang Paimian was in that fight, John DeBella won that fight. So how come the champ is still sitting at home? The challenger's got another fight. Makes no sense.
Well,
Doesn't
the
add up.
rematch makes no sense, right? Like John DeBella should be fighting somebody else.
Yeah.
And
It was close though. It's close enough to
yeah,
warrant.
but I don't think it warrants an immediate rematch, right? Like let him defend the title,
I agree.
And then he could come back after that. If he wins this fight this weekend, he could be next in line after John defends the title, right? So
Well, it's funny because they didn't seem to bite at John DeBella against Daniel Williams. They're like, oh, why does Daniel Williams deserve a strawweight kickboxing title shot? Well, he's just got a flyweight kickboxing title shot for no reason. So they could have done that fight.
They could have, of course, slightly different circumstances, but they definitely could have. And we know point blank, John DeBella is ready to fight. There's no injuries. He wants to fight. So hopefully we can see him back in the circle or the ring or something soon, because I know that he's beyond ready and is like really chomping at the bit to fight again. So hopefully, John, you can get a fight soon. We're all waiting to see the champ back in there. Let's move on to the next fight on Saturday's card, though. It's Suki Hirata and Ham So-hee. A great fight in the atomweight division. Definite title implications. Obviously, it's a bit of a situation with Angela potentially being out for a while. We'll get to that later. But there's a great fight that was supposed to happen in November. Of course, Itsuki had some issues with the scale with her hydration tests, and Ham ultimately decided that she didn't want to do this fight back then. Has since decided that she'll give Itsuki another chance, and here we are. John, being from Korea, being part of that scene, are you surprised that Ham decided to take this fight again?
Yes and no. The reason is that one probably just told her, like, this is the only fight we're going to give you. You take it now or you're going to sit on the shelf. What are you going to do? You're going to take the fight, right? And not sit on the shelf. You don't fight, you don't make money. I think by now you have to be very close to be, I don't know what you call it, but you'd have to be stupid to not pass the hydration test by now. There's videos out there showing you how to pass the hydration test. There's videos out there showing you how to do it. You know what I mean? It's wild. Like, how could you not watch those videos or figure out a way to pass the hydration test, either the proper way or the not proper way, right? Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, if she doesn't make weight or pass hydration, I don't know what to tell you about her. Like, there's no excuses now you can make for her, right? Back to back. And if Ham doesn't fight her, I wouldn't blame her. But if you don't fight, you don't make money. So maybe no matter what happens, she's going to take the fight. Who knows, man?
It's a tough situation for him, because if she says no to this one, like you said, that's 2 paydays in a row that she was expecting that she, presumably wouldn't get all of. She did an interview with Nick yesterday, I guess, whenever that was. And the word she used, with respect to Hirata potentially not making weight again, was unacceptable. She said it'd be unacceptable if she didn't make weight. And I think that's bang on, based on everything that, the resources that Hirata has available to her now, what she knows now, she should be able to do this. Nick, you interviewed Hirata at the same time, kind of an hour or two before or after, I'm sure. What were your kind of thoughts on her? Do you think she's got this in the bag? Is she going to make weight?
Well, first of all, I just want to point out and thank Anonymous here for a little super chat. I think that's what it's called, where he's put some money in. That's very cool, Anonymous. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you very much.
I bet Hirata was studying that video carefully. I believe referring to these videos about how to pass the hydration test. Yes, perhaps. But from the interview with her, she was very sheepish. She doesn't really give away much. When I see her pass the hydration test and make weight, I'll believe this fight's going to happen. I still see some scope for shenanigans, I just think Itsuki is too big for this division, and she said she's going to consider going up to strawweight after this fight. So,
Why didn't she just go to strawweight?
Well, I have an answer for that. She wanted to. When I interviewed her in February or something, Nick, I saw in your interview that you did with her, she mentioned that again. She actually told me that she wanted to, and I think she said it was actually Chatri that asked her to stick to atom weight for at least this fight. Try to do it one more time, she said. I think that's what she said. It was Chatri. I'll have to go back and check. But somebody at one encouraged her when she suggested moving up to stay at atom weight, and that's why this fight is happening again.
Well, I guess atomweight's the division to be in if you're a woman in one championship.
It's
in
the
MMA.
glamour division for sure. Yeah,
There's nothing going on in strawweight, and it's even if you can you could get a title shot at strawweight, with one win, or sometimes not even that, just by joining the division. I think Itsuki could get a shot with Zhang Jingnan, but I don't know how she's going to fare in that fight.
Women are running from the strawweight division and going.
That's the problem. Is like there's a quick path to the title shot at strawweight. You could get there in one or less fights conceivably, but the problem is then you have to fight Zhang Jingnan, which I think not many people want to do these days.
Terrible matchup for a lot of girls, man.
For pretty much everybody. Yeah.
Well, there is someone who wants to fight her who is on this card, and we can talk about her later if you want. But she's actually grappling Mikey Musumeci's sister, Tammy Musumeci. Bianca Basilio, in an interview with me, called out the Panda, Zhang Jingnan, wants to fight MMA. She's already fought a bit of MMA in Brazil, so that'd be cool. She got a bonus last time we were here, Tom, in Singapore, for about a 22-second submission in her grappling debut. So not many people calling out the name of the Panda.
Definitely not, man. Well, let's move on to these undercard fights. First things first, though, Itsuki versus Ham, big fight. Winner, I think, probably will get a title shot, whether it's against Stamp for an interim title or Angela comes back. Let's make our picks. People come for picks. John, who you got in this one?
I got Ham. I think Ham is not even going to play around with her. Hirata, clearly her path to victory is on the ground. I don't even think she's going to be able to get her to the ground. I think this fight's going to be on the feet, and I think Ham might get a knockout in this one.
That's a good pick. Nick?
Mr. Contrarian? I'm going with Hamdallah. I think John is right. I think we may see a finish. I think we're about to see Ham unleash a couple of years of frustration on poor old Android 18. Is that the name she's using now? I can't remember. Itsuki Hirata. Yeah, I think Itsuki is still really young, and she's still really, junior or whatever in her development as a fighter. She's only had, I think, 6 fights, 7, something like that. And she's not fought someone with the caliber and the level and the experience and the guile of Ham Sohi. So I think Ham is just going to get a easy W here, and I think that's going to set her up for either an interim title shot with Stamp, or if Angela's ready to come back, I think Ham will get Angela Lee before the end of this year. But it's all dependent on Angela, and I wouldn't rush back if I'm Angela. So I wouldn't mind seeing interim with Stamp, because it's also going to be easier to justify Stamp getting another shot at Angela by winning an interim title. Do you know what I mean? So it all depends, of course, if Angela wants to come back to MMA, and like I said, we don't know if she does or if she ever will. So a lot of things up in the air. But
Hirata just gives me Paige Van Zandt vibes. It just that's what I see in her. You know what I mean? This is the vibes I get. You know what I mean? I don't know if she's taking it that seriously. And
I think that's a really good comparison, man. That's like bang on. But I think if we're doing that comparison, this is the Paige versus Namajunas fight. This is where she can either prove that she's for real and belongs, to be with the best atomweights in the world, or that she is kind of like Paige, where she maybe had a little more shine than she could back up. I'll play devil's advocate on this one. I think Itsuki's got the size, the grappling, the strength. If her confidence is on point, I think she can win this maybe by decision. But, skill for skill, it is hard to pick against Ham in this one. She's more experienced. She's faster. She's got better striking. It's a good one. And if Itsuki does pull it off, I think it would actually be fair to give her a title shot based on that. And of course, if Ham wins, she's undeniable in my opinion. Anything to add on that one, guys?
Just this comment from AV Mail, like hydration wins by TKO. Yeah. Keep your eyes on the weigh-ins tomorrow night, guys. Let's see. Mm-hmm. This is still not 100%. Itsuki's changed her diet. She's just been working with a nutritionist. Let's see if it pays off, or if she's still going to try and work that hydration system a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot to watch over the next couple of days. Excuse me, I'm a little sick still, guys. So all the coughing and sniffling, I apologize.
Give a hand to Tom, everyone, for emceeing the show while sick. Yeah.
Oh man,
pretty cruel.
My pleasure
to actually ask you to do that. I forgot you were sick.
It's all good, man. I'm feeling a lot better today. It's no problem at all. Let's move on to some of these other fights. I mean, honestly, outside of those top 3 fights now that we've lost some fights, it's not exactly a home run card. I'd say there's not a ton of big names on the rest of the card, but some interesting ones. One I wanted to ask you about, John, is there's this Korean guy fighting a lightweight, Oh Ho-Tek. I don't know how you say his name.
Yeah.
Fighting right. Abdullayev, who I think is making his debut. Do you know anything about this guy? I mean, like, what do you know about him?
He's good, man. He's it's not like he's like great at one particular thing, but he's just a well-rounded fighter. And he's actually has a pretty good track record against like fighters that he should lose to. He ends up beating them. You know what I mean? Even in his one championship debut, he fought Takahashi, and he beat him by split decision. I thought Takahashi was going to go in there and wreck this guy, Ho-Tek. And Ho-Tek stood there and, and banged it out with him and actually won the fight. You know what I mean? It was close, but he won the fight. I think Takahashi was pretty pissed off after that one because he didn't get the nod. But in this one coming up, I don't know, man. I don't know too much about this guy that he's facing off against. But by looking at him, he's from Kyrgyzstan. He's a young kid. I don't know. I think this fight, it's hard to say, man. I think Ho-Tek's probably going to end up beating this guy. I think it might be a setup fight for Ho-Tek to get another win and then maybe try to push himself into that featherweight division somewhere, give him somebody with a bigger name eventually. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know a ton about either of these guys. Nick, did you get any info on these guys this week? Anything to add on that?
I have no idea about either of these guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm clueless on this fight. Yeah, I really am.
One is always signing new fighters from all over the world. We can't be expected to know who all of these people are, when they're making their debuts. That would be an impossible ask. There are quite a few familiar names, though, of course, on this one. The next fight down on the bill is Zhang Paimian, who, of course, fought John DiBella for strawweight kickboxing title last August, I think. I'm having a hard time remembering when that was. Maybe a little bit later, September, October, somewhere in there. But he's back before JDB, as we said. Not everyone's happy about that. He's fighting Torepchi Dongak, who I think is from somewhere in the Caucasus. I'm not sure. I mean, to me, this looks, even knowing nothing about Zhang's opponent, this looks like probably a title eliminator, just because there aren't a ton of other bodies in the weight class. And Zhang, of course, did have that really close fight with JDB, came up short. Nick, is that sort of your assessment of this? Do you think the winner of this, particularly if it's Zhang, particularly if it's impressive, does that set up a rematch with JDB?
Another one I have no idea about is Terepchi Dongak. I think if he beat Zhang, I wouldn't see them rushing to book him against John DeBella because of the name. There doesn't seem too much name value with him. I don't know, though. He got a spectacular win, maybe. But I think if Zhang Pamian beats Terepchi, yeah, you could justify a rematch with John DeBella. And maybe, as JHK was saying, that might be the play here. And why Zhang Pamian is fighting before John DeBella, even though John DeBella beat him, is to just justify a rematch. But we see one can really book anything they want. They don't have a real ranking system for a lot of these divisions. So if they want to just book Zhang versus DeBella, they could easily do it, and they have done things like that before. They do them all the time. So I'm not sure what is going on there, but I'm going to pick Zhang. I think he's really damn good, and I thought he was. Yeah, they obviously like him a lot, and they're pushing him to China again, or they're trying to establish some stars. We've seen that. He is, a dream for them in that regard. So I think some people in one are very high on him, and they would like to get him back to the belt. It's a no-brainer.
Well, people may forget, there was a lot of hype on him heading into that fight with JDB. And JDB was kind of a bit of a mystery at that point. People that have been following Glory really closely knew who he was and stuff. That's not a criticism of him, obviously, but there was more hype, I would say, on Zhang. And then he, of course, won his debut. He had a fight before the title. John didn't. And that sort of fizzled out a little bit, I think, with that loss. But it was a close loss, and he is still a popular fighter in China, and I think there's a lot of potential there. I, of course, am picking him to win just by virtue of not knowing anything about the guy he's fighting. John, I assume that's the way you would lean to.
How did they even fight this guy? Dongak.
Man, I don't know. They have to scour the world for these guys, right? I mean,
it's amazing that they found this kid. He's 20 years old. 20 years old, right? And he's from the Tuva Republic of Russia, somewhere I've never heard of.
Me
right?
either.
And he doesn't he doesn't look Russian. I'm just gonna put it out there. He looks Mongolian.
Well, he may be from that region of Russia.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty wild. But yeah, Zhang Piaman, man, this guy, I think they're trying to set him up. Get yourself a little highlight reel and get on the mic, do your work, call out JDB, and let's set up the title fight. Maybe that's what's the plan, and they probably told him, if you're smart, that's what you're gonna do, right? Because that's what you want. And he's already doing it, right? He did it for you, Nick. He cut a little promo calling out JDB, right? So he's ready to cut another one after the fight. Get himself a little bonus, get himself a little what is it? Is that 50K? Is that what they're giving out?
It'd be 50 for this one.
50K, that's right.
10 for the Lumpini ones, yeah.
Lumpinis, right? So 50K, get your 50K, get your little call out, all of that, and let's set up the fight. That's what they're doing, because the guy that he beat is actually the fight before this. One of the guys Zhang beat right before he fought DeBella, right? So Aslanbek is fighting also tonight or the same night. So there are fighters in the division. It's just like they're not fighting each other.
And they're not fighting enough either, I don't think. We need to get them fighting so there's a clear pecking order. There's not like a ton on the card other than the top few fights, as I said, that are really, warranting a ton of conversation and breakdowns. But Nick, your boy Alex Silva, of course, the former champ, is back. He's fighting Kito Yamakita from Japan, who's undefeated, a former Pancrase champion, I think. So, he's got a decent background. Seems like, a bit of an X factor just because he is fairly unexperienced, hasn't been fighting on quite as big of a stage as Alex Silva. Nick, having spoken to Alex, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, I'd never spoken to Alex before today, but what a nice guy. Just had a great chat with him. He's a very pleasant man. I can see why Chatri loves him and gives him all these cool opportunities, and Alex, yeah, I think he's gonna show out here, and I think Alex is gonna find himself very soon in the conversation to fight Jared Brooks, because there's no clear front runner for that. And I'm intrigued by that matchup, I think. But also Alex Silva's he's willing to do a trilogy. I asked him with Adrian Matthias, the Indonesian fighter who shocked him, with that 30-second knockout or whatever it was, and then Alex kind of schooled him on the ground in the rematch. So I'm up for seeing that. I think Adrian is really explosive and exciting, and Alex is incredible on the ground, but there are questions to be asked. Yeah, I think that was a legitimate stoppage. He said it was early. One championship, clearly agree with him, but I don't know anything about Keito Yamakita. I'm sorry, so I'm gonna pick Alex Silva. I think, like John was saying with Zhang Pomian, I think it's a little bit of a setup here to get Alex a win. Come on, the guy is Chatri's BJJ instructor, and he gave Chatri his brown belt. So Chatri's then going to throw Alex, some killer prospect to, potentially be a banana skin. No, he's going to, I think, Alex is going to get the W here.
Well, if he gets the W, Chachi's going to get his black belt. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And Alex is going to get 100,000 bonus. Yeah.
Exactly.
That Malakin money,
John, have you heard of this guy, Keito Yamakita, that he's fighting? And has this guy ever crossed your desk?
Not really, but I read something about him, and it just seems like it's a fight where Alex is going to be able to go in there and grapple, because this guy's a grappler as well, right? So it's like he's going to go in there and try to wrestle Alex. So Alex will either Keito will pin him on his back, and Alex won't be able to do nothing, or Alex will be able to sweep him and get some kind of submissions attacks going. But yeah, it's a fight that Alex can show off his grappling skills in. And I don't know, man. He's not a young guy either, as well.
No. I think he's like 40 already.
He's 40, dude. Like,
I think so. Yeah,
come on.
Close to it.
And Kieto's 26. You're fighting a 40-year-old man. But Alex Jiu-Jitsu, man, is sometimes, for some reason, those guys last for a long time. We saw Damian Maia do it, right? So maybe we'll see it.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to Barbie being back.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's what I wanted to talk about next. Nick, you interviewed her today. She has had a bit of a kind of dramatic year, right? She was supposed to fight Supergirl earlier this year. That obviously fell through, so Supergirl could fight Stamp on short notice. It was a very chaotic sequence of events involving a lot of different fighters. The way it's shaken out is Vanderyeva is fighting Imam Barlow this weekend. I mean, what's going on here, Nick? How is she feeling after everything she's been through? What do you got to say about this one, by the way?
Yeah, I just forgot we can actually do that.
So did I.
Yeah, and shout out to One's web development team for the slick relaunch of their website, the redesign. I like it. But yeah, Barbie is back. She won that fight, I think, against Supergirl. In that rematch, I still want to see it. She said some interesting stuff to me about how they actually offered Stamp the chance to fight her. So Stamp got to pick between Supergirl and Katarina, and she picked Supergirl, which would tend to make you think that she thought Supergirl's an easier opponent. And interestingly, they wanted Vanderyeva to do the mixed rules thing. So Stamp turned that down. But that would have been fun. But anyway, I think Iman Barlow is going to smash her, though. That's the problem. So Iman Barlow is a killer. She's the pretty killer. She's actually incredible. If you don't know, now you know. Iman Barlow is going to be fighting Smilla Sandel very soon for the title. You can clip that up. You put it on social media. I'm calling it now, guys. She is incredible. She's a very, very highly skilled. In England, she's got a big reputation. She won the World Games gold medal a few months ago, late last year, I think. Not many people know about the World Games, but yeah, she cleaned house. She made it look easy. She is one to watch. If you didn't see her debut, it lasted about a minute or 90 seconds. Yeah, I think Vandereer was in trouble here, guys. I think Barlow's gonna get a bonus and a highlight reel.
Yeah, this to me obviously has title implications, particularly if she wins. We've all been wondering where Smilla is. What I've heard is that Smilla is not injured or anything. It will be ready to fight again soon. It'll be her first title defense, and it's coming up on a year since she won the title with that win over Jackie. So I think we're due for that soon. And, unless Jackie comes out and does something really amazing, she's fighting, I think, Deandra Martin on the U.S. show, the May 5th show in Denver. Unless she goes out and, knocks her opponent's head off, I think probably Barlow will be next for a title shot after this. I agree, Nick. Let's move on to this grappling match, unless anyone has anything to add about this, because this is a good one. I sort of right off the cuff get the impression that this might be, just in terms of competitive accolades, one of the better grappling matches one has put on in terms of the women's side. Danielle Kelly obviously has a lot of credentials, but her opponents, she fought the Sambo girl, and then she's fought two girls from MMA, May and Ayaka. These are two, decorated BJJ competitors. To me, this is a great matchup, and there's no title in this weight class yet. I think they could have maybe even put a title on this one if they wanted to. Nick, what are your thoughts on this one? What do you know about these girls?
I know very little about grappling in general, but Tammy Musumeci obviously is Mikey Musumeci's sister. She's very well qualified, comes highly rated by Mikey. He was raving about her. Says she used to kick his ass every day as kids. And he says he expects her to win, and then he's calling for Tammy to fight Danielle Kelly, for a belt. But there'd be a weight difference there, so they'd have to figure it out. But Tammy's 5 or 6 pounds under the limit, she says, coming into this one. So I don't know if that's going to play a factor in the fight, but it wouldn't be hard then, you'd guess, for Tammy to get down to whatever it would be, But anyway, but Bianca Basilio, like I was saying, she's also got a lot of credentials, and we've seen how good she is, Tom. So I don't think it's a setup for Tammy, although you know how much Chatri loves Mikey, and for good reason. Mikey is such a fun guy, and he's incredible. But it would be weird to set up his sister against a complete killer. So I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Bianca. We saw her. She looked really good. She wants to fight in MMA as well. She backs herself. I talked to her a little bit today after our interview. Very confident woman. And she's another very nice person, very energetic, bubbly personality. But you can tell they have that serious side where they just switch. And I don't know. It's a tough one. I see a draw. They don't have draws, do they, anymore? And I can see a decision for someone, yeah.
John, you've had some hot takes on the One Championship grappling before. I've been banging the drum for a women's title, whether it's at atomweight or strawweight. I think if they're crowning male champions, they've got women on the roster who are winning fights. They should be crowning female champions in submission grappling too. Do you want to see more titles in submission grappling? Do you think either of these women would be deserving, maybe with a win? What are your thoughts on this?
I say we have Barbie pull out of that fight against Iman, because Iman seems like a killer and might just shellac her, because man, Barbie has had terrible matchmaking for herself in her whole one championship career, right? She started off with Janet Todd, then fought her teammate, and then she lost a controversial decision, and this one seems like she's gonna take a beating. I don't want her to take a beating, so let's pull her out of that fight and we'll have her grapple this. We'll have a triple threat match in the cage, or is it a cage? It's a cage, right?
Yeah, it's a cage.
We got a cage.
Yeah, triple threat match in the cage. All no rules, submission only. Let's do it like that. Then I'll be interested in this matchup. But other than that, I have no idea who these women are, and only reason I know who Tammy is because her brother has the same name, and I barely know anything about her brother except for what he's done in one championship and his weird diet that he has where he eats rice with oil and just odd behavior, very odd behavior. Is his
definitely a
sister the
guy.
same?
Did you speak to her, Nick?
Sorry, what
Did you speak to Tammy?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, she doesn't have such a weird diet. I can confirm. I asked her about it. She's actually also a legal. She's like a lawyer by day, So she's like this superhuman who is like does family law or something by day, then goes and kicks ass on the mats by night. So she says I gotta eat because I gotta be on top of my game in court. I can't be hungry. So she doesn't do what Mikey does, which is just Mikey waits all day and then eats some like disgusting calorific meal, like John said there, one meal a day kind of thing. But yeah, as that comment, who was it from? Gamble33 says this is maybe the highest level BJJ match they put on. Yeah, I think it might be in terms of just it's equally matched. We've seen a lot of mismatches with one's grappling so far, where they book these super champs like Cade and Mikey to just roll through some poor Sambo guys who have no hope in hell of beating them.
Well, we've seen a guy's career pretty much might have been ended because of a mismatch, right?
Yeah,
his leg completely mangled.
Entirely his fault though for not tapping.
It is, but still, like, what do you expect, right? That these guys are animals.
Yeah, man. There's been some good grappling. Honestly, it's I have to say it's grown on me over the last couple of months. I'm a big fan of the Rotolo brothers. Obviously, Mikey's a beast. Danielle Kelly's a beast, and I think these two have a lot of potential. Bianca, as you said, Nick, looked great in her debut, and Tammy, I can't comment on her skill. I haven't seen her fight before, but obviously one is satisfied with what they've gotten from Mikey. They're hoping to capitalize on another Musumeci here. They think there's a lot of upside for her. I don't think this is a squash match where she was brought in to lose, but I think this is gonna be a good one, honestly.
I'm still struggling with the grappling for me has not really taken hold yet in terms of it feels weird in the arena. I don't know how it looks on. How does it feel, John, on broadcast when you're watching? Because you've done the Fight Companions recently for us.
The grappling?
Does it come across as does it flow naturally as part of the show, or does it stand out as this isn't really
if you you don't want to get me started on the grappling these shows. It's just I just think that grappling should not even be part of it. That's my take on it.
I think they can make it work, but they need to make some changes, and
they need to make a separate show. Like it should be like a prelim thing, like 3 prelims, like bonus bouts should be the grappling ahead of the main card, which is the MMA and the Super Series stuff, right? I don't like it being all mixed in together. It just the flow of the whole show just gets kind of, I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't like it, and but it doesn't seem like it's going out. They're taking it on anytime soon.
I think they brought in the grappling not so much in hopes that viewers will flock to watch these grappling matches. Obviously the hope is that eventually they'll have some big stars that people will tune in to watch. But I think more than anything, this is just about having more content for social media, just more content to constantly be rolling out. I mean, one is a social media machine. That's like a big part of their product. And I think just having more, little clips of scrambles and quick submissions to work with, I think that's honestly why they're doing this, to be honest. But I don't know.
It just doesn't come across well in the arena environment. You can't really see what's going on. It's tough to actually.
Probably worse in the arena. It's probably
much worse. Yeah, you can't see what's going on, and you don't even know what's. A lot of people don't know anything about grappling anyway.
Yeah.
So
because you can't really see anything, right? Like if you're on the wrong side and they're grappling on the other side, you're just like, what is going on? You're watching the screen. You're not even watching the cage. That's why this is my solution. Even though I don't want the grappling during the shows as much, but my solution is you need to have the circle, the cage, be able to be lifted up into the ceiling, and then now you just have the mat open where you can see the grappling. Now it's an open mat. Do you understand what I'm saying?
The problem, though, I think, is not even that the cage is there; it's that the canvas is too high. So for anyone that's like not way up high, it's hard to see the grappling properly. Like if you're in the stands, kind of at eye level, it's really hard to tell what's happening because you're looking at them from the side, right? It's hard to explain, but I think, the cage just does not work for grappling. Like they need a mat on the ground, like at ground level, not raised, no cage around it. But Yeah, we're running long here, guys. I don't want to keep you all night. I know it's late there. There's actually not a ton of fan questions here. There is one question, someone asking about Buchecha fighting. Nick, you may be able to comment on this. Last I heard, he was going to be on the May 5th card. I think he's like still supposed to be on that card, but they haven't announced his opponent or his fight or anything yet. If anyone has anything to add to that, that's my answer on that one.
I got no idea. Just the rest of the card quickly. I wanted to just mention,
I was gonna say, is there anything you want to
just
hit on here?
This guy who you mentioned, Aslan Beck, who lost to Zhang, he's a short notice replacement to fight Rui Botelho, who was going to fight Daniel Williams. So they've come. I just want to say kudos to one for keeping Rui on the card, because when there's all this reshuffling, there's always one person who tends to suffer and not get a fight. And I'm glad they managed to find Rui something. So that's cool. And then I think, Nicholas Larson as well. He of Tawanchai and Jimmy Vienno fame, lost both of those fights. He's got probably a more winnable one here against Eddie Abasolo, who we saw against Liam Nolan in Singapore. Tom, should be a fun one. Nicholas, fun guy, nice guy, has a credible life story of his
crazy story.
Yeah. Almost lost his leg. You can see my interview with him, and he explains all that.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to ask you about that one. I didn't have the benefit of having the fights up on the screen. We were running through the fights before, but that would be another one that I'm kind of interested in. I think maybe there's some title implications there. Obviously, both riding losses, but this division is fairly thin. It doesn't take that many wins to get yourself back in that conversation. Do you think either of these guys, Nick, have the potential to be fighting for the title at some point, or are they kind of just fighting for their jobs at this point?
Well, Larson says he wants to fight Tawanchai again, and fair play to him. I don't know. Tawanchai, I think, is going to kickboxing, to be honest, and that's what I was hearing last time after he beat Yusupov. He's going to get a top 10 or he doesn't want to go straight into a Super Bond or a Chingiz. I think he wants someone a little bit outside the top 5 as a tune-up, and then he's going to go. They might do the Super Bond thing. So I don't know. I don't see Tawanchai. I can just sort of see him floating between the two, to be honest. And if someone worthy comes along and stakes a claim, he'll pop back over to Muay Thai. But kickboxing is where it at, for featherweights, I think, in one championship.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let me put out one more call for questions from anyone that's watching. If you have any questions for us, guys, there haven't been a ton. I think we've answered most of them. I see one more has popped up here, but while you guys are formulating any questions that you have, John and Nick, let's start with John. I mean, which fights on this card are you most excited for?
Man, I'm excited for Barbie, man. That's my pick of the night. I'm just saying, man. Like, no, I'm just kidding. That probably is gonna be a murder show. Of course, the co-main event. Alicia's coming back. Janet Todd's been murdering divisions, and I think this is a showcase for the women this week. You got Ham facing Hirata. That's going to be a good fight. And you got Todd and Alicia. Those two fights, I think they're gonna stick out. One is a title fight for their stamp, in the division, and the other is for a title shot. I think this is why One Championship told Hirata to fight at atomweight, is because if you win this one, we're going to give you a title shot, even though she probably doesn't deserve that. Right. But if you beat Ham, who's probably deserving of a title shot, even without this fight, that gives you a good, strong argument. Right. So they're putting her in a good spot to get a title fight, before she moves up. I mean, if she becomes a champion, that's even better. And then she could go fight super fights at strawweight. You know what I mean? But this one, they're in a good position. I like it. I like that they're fighting, and I hope it goes through. But other than that, that's it, man. Those two fights right there, Todd and Rodriguez, and Ham and Isuki. Those are good ones.
Yeah, I would personally agree with you. Those are the two fights that I'm most excited for. Excuse me. Obviously, I'm excited to see what Daniel Williams can do under these short notice circumstances. He's our boy. We've interviewed him many times, and he's been a great friend of this show. And this website and all that. So of course we'd love to see him thrive in that one. I'm excited to see what he can do. Nick, what about you, man? What are the fights to watch on this card?
Yeah, I think it's always been a top-heavy card, this one, and now the top started to crumble a little bit, so it's a bit worrying, but I think it's still got enough sauce on it there just to make it fun. I'll try and pick something less obvious than those three, because those three fights you mentioned, guys, really are clearly the ones to watch here. But again, yeah, it's tough. How about I'm just excited to see what your man Barlow can do. Yeah, and I think
I'm excited for that grappling match, man.
Grappling, yeah, that's gonna be good. It should wake
John.
me up hopefully at 8 a.m. whenever we start.
It'll put John to sleep.
Put John to sleep. Yeah, there's not a ton of on paper things that I'm hugely excited for. More individuals, I'm looking to see what they can do. Like I expect we might get some highlight real finishes here from some of these guys like Zhang Paimian, and maybe Alex Silva's going to get a good sub, and Barlow might get a KO. Yeah, we'll probably. Yeah, that's it.
Well, let's just quickly hit on a few of these questions, and then we can call it. We're running pretty long here. I don't know what you guys got going on, but it's late over there. Nick, here's one that you can probably answer better than anyone. Any update on Anissa Mexen? It sounds like we're sort of not totally sure what's happening here. She's, I think, still technically under contract, right? But is maybe being allowed to go do other things because obviously they're not seeing eye to eye. What's the situation as far as you know?
She's not allowed to go. So if she does fight in Ares, she's gonna be breaching contract. It's unlike Iman. So I spoke to Iman and her dad. I think her coach was there today. She had to ask one, obviously, if she can go fight in the World Games. This thing I mentioned earlier. So one said, yeah, that's fine. But what they do in a case like that is they just add the days to your contract. So for whatever it was, and that was fine with them. But yeah, Anissa, they're gonna freeze her, and then I think if Anissa wants to fight, she's gonna have to come back and see out the deal with one. I don't know how long the deal is, how many fights she's got. Could get very, very messy. That's the update. I think we could see a really messy legal situation that's gonna be ugly for everyone involved. And I hate that it came to this, but we discussed that last time or the week before, me and John. But I don't have any concrete update, no. But
and how about a concrete update on us on Malakin and Buller? Nick, can you provide any clarity on that? They said that one's going to be rescheduled for some time later in the year. The reason they gave was a shift in broadcaster commitments or something, which
the all-time worst reason ever.
Yeah, full respect to everyone involved in putting out these, releases. It's not easy to disappoint people, but that was the most vague and unclear reason for a fight being canceled I think I've ever heard. Any info or updates?
That was a Hall of Famer. No updates. But like I discussed with John last week, we think that it's gonna be in May, and Ngannou's gonna be cage side in Colorado, and the winner's going to call him out, and that's going to be a cool visual for one. It's going to blow up on social media if that happens.
That's a really
breaking
good
news.
Theory, and I can't believe I haven't thought of that before, but that's an incredible
news. What is
breaking
that?
news
obviously
right there. Sources tell me May 5th, Buller versus Ngannou, main event.
No way. No.
Unreliable sources.
Unreliable.
Tell me.
Okay.
Completely unreliable sources tell me Buller
fantasy?
versus Ngannou, May 5th.
That to me would be that's a way worse matchup than Ngannou versus Malakin. I think they need to get, if that's the way they're going and they want Ngannou to fight for one, they need to hope that Malakin has the belt and he's the one that's waiting for Ngannou.
Then
I think that's
2 weeks ahead of the fight. Buller pulls out, Malakin steps in, fights Ngannou for the heavyweight.
You got some good
title.
sources, man. Is
My
your source
sources
like
tell me. I'm telling you right
witch
now.
doctor?
That's what's Back to the Future. I went Back to the Future and I got the book. I came back. I'm telling you right now.
Man. Well,
no one knows what's happening. But next week we got a lot of things to talk about in the podcast. We didn't even talk about Team Lakai and the interview you did with. I think we could talk about that next week because I feel like we'll get more information out of some of the other fighters. So we'll let that simmer, and next week we'll be back to talk about
good
that.
thinking, man. Good thinking. Well, someone's asking where Michael Chiavello is. I don't know. One hasn't really commented on this. He sort of disappeared, and everyone's, I think, hoping, or a lot of people are hoping he'll be back in some semblance. I don't know if he will. There was talk of him maybe joining Glory. Either of you guys have any insight on this?
Yes, sources tell me that
he's fighting.
He's the new Crocodile Dundee. Sources tell me he's filming Crocodile Dundee 4 on location in the outback in central
like a better
Australia. And yes, he's lost a lot of weight to play the role. Let's just put it that way.
People
and he
ask
grew his
us
hair out.
about him, like,
He's got the
every
blonde
week.
wig.
Yeah. This shows there's a lot of love for Chiavello. Everyone always wants to see him back.
Of course, man. Of course.
One
it's
would be well advised to find a role for Michael Chiavello. I think he improves the product 100%. I say it every week. I'm getting a bit tired of saying it and then seeing one just not rehire this man. Especially this week, you've got Mitch is going to be having to come from Bangkok, presumably, to Singapore for Friday to Saturday morning. That's a tough turnaround. I hope maybe they see sense and just throw Michael a bone, get Michael to do one of the two shows.
Is that even possible? Are there?
I don't think that's possible, man. Like,
I don't think that's possible. Yeah, there's like 10 hours between the two cards or something, right?
That's impossible, dude. Because I've
or is it 24 hours?
I've flown from Bangkok to Singapore.
That's like a couple hours.
No, the flight's very short. It's just when the flights happen.
Private jet, guys, come on.
Chaudhry's private jet. You know what I mean? I understand.
Well,
I see.
I would love to see Chiavello back. This has always sort of felt like a Mike Goldberg situation to me, where even if you had criticisms of his commentary, you weren't crazy about his commentary. He's been with one for so long. He sort of was a crucial part of the broadcast. You expect to hear his voice, his enthusiasm, his crazy metaphors that he uses when he's commentating. And it sort of just ended very unceremoniously. Nothing was said. If you decide to part ways with this guy, send him off with some fanfare, thank him for everything. But none of that happened. He just sort of disappeared, and we still don't know what's happening. And there's a real conspicuous absence on one broadcast now. I miss hearing his voice. Nobody's telling Irene that it's time for bed anymore. Irene's been up for weeks, man.
Irene has insomnia.
Yeah, Irene's got insomnia. We gotta bring Mike back, I think. But yeah, I have no updates on that. So
well, you don't know what you miss until it's gone, right? I think that's what we're having here is like Michael Chiavello. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of Michael Chiavello, but I understand what he did and what was his purpose and how he was a company man too, man. He would hype, and he was better than Mike Goldberg. Like, way better than Mike Goldberg.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Like 10 times better.
I just think it's a similar situation, where like this kind of beloved veteran of the company was just disappeared, and it kind of puts people off a little bit. I think
maybe they just don't like the accent. They don't like good eye, Mike. They don't like it. They don't like it.
They need you, clearly, man.
I know they need me to do the accents. I'll do all of them. I'll do Asian accents. I'll do everything. English accents, you know what I mean? Just let me do my thing.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster, but I'd love to hear it.
Of course. Good eye, Mike.
Well,
you guys on the bobby.
This is quickly devolving into nonsense.
Of course.
You guys got anything to add about this weekend's card, about Iuri Lapicus, about anything that's happened in the last couple of weeks? Any closing messages for people? Obviously, guys, if you're watching this, if you've toughed it out, like, subscribe. We appreciate the support. We appreciate you watching. Do you guys have anything to add before we call this a morning, before we call it a night?
Well, we'll have a fight companion on this channel. So if you subscribe and hit that notification bell, we'll have a fight companion on Friday evening for you guys in America, and Saturday morning for people over here on this side of the world. We'll have a special guest. We'll have a woman joining us for the fight companion, an actual fighter. So we haven't had a woman on the fight companion in a while, so it should be interesting, especially if we have some women's fights happening, right? So, and this woman has fought in Muay Thai and MMA, so it'll be a good new addition for the show. But yeah, join us over there, and all kinds of ridiculousness. I'm the host, so I get to go do whatever I want. So come by and join us.
And Nick, how about you? You've got a busy few days lined up. Obviously, the one itinerary is always hectic during fight week. You're there for everything, covering everything, cameras flying around. What do you got going on, man?
Yeah, we'll be at Singapore Indoor Stadium at 11 a.m. and tomorrow morning in Singapore for the press conference, a morning press conference. It's a new one for me in One Championship in recent times. So I'll hopefully film that for you. I'm going to ask a few questions, the hard-hitting ones. I'm going to throw Chatri a few tough ones. Put what's the phrase? The cat amongst the pigeons, yeah. And then
I've never heard
come
that
back
one.
to the
Some hard balls.
Hard balls, yeah. Freezing, yeah. Then we'll come back to the hotel and I'll crash out the rest of these interviews I did today, and then we'll go do these weigh-ins. Probably starts at 8 p.m. It's gonna be another busy day. Yeah, it's gonna be a hectic day, and then Friday we got the ceremonials. I think I haven't even looked at the schedule. Well, let's just get through Thursday first. Is it Thursday? Is it Wednesday now? I hope so.
It's Wednesday night for you, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
One day at a time, Nick.
Yeah, nonstop.
Did you see Hirata at breakfast eating the turkey bacon? That's the biggest
didn't, but I did see someone eating that. Who was it? I think it was Alex Silva, my man. So he knows how to
he's
eat
gonna miss weight. He's gonna miss weight.
But maybe it wasn't Alex. I don't know. It might have been
another Brazilian.
Yeah, I think it was Alicia's boyfriend actually, or husband, whatever. The father of her child. Yeah, because why would Alex stay in the hotel? He lives in Singapore.
Right.
Well, free breakfast.
But they look fairly similar, I'll ping up. But anyway.
They kind of do look similar, but I'm pretty sure they're different sizes. Alex Silva's pretty small.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, we were sitting down though, to be fair to me.
All right, guys. Well, we got some great fights to look forward to this Friday night if you live in the Western Hemisphere. Saturday morning on the other side of the world where you guys are. Thank you, everyone that's joined us today. This has been a lot of fun. Obviously, thank you to Shannon for joining us. He's probably fast asleep at this point, but that was great having him on to kind of share his thoughts on the tragic news of Iuri Lapicus' passing earlier this week. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I don't think there's anything else to add. If you guys have anything to wedge in at the last moment, now's the time. But I think we can wrap this up.
Well, look, just as Andrew Hunt says here, glad I stuck with this dream. Where else am I going to get one breakfast updates? Exactly. Nowhere.
That's why
Andrew.
we're here.
Well, I think we should continue doing that every fight week. Is during the podcast, we'll get breakfast updates from you guys.
I'm happy to share what the buffet looks like. I love Tom and I discussed this, on our own in our downtime.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can go around with your phone and just film everybody what they're eating and then post it on another video.
The Instagram.
It's a cool idea, actually. Yeah,
it's a good idea.
I saw a few fighters at Wingstop last time. I'm not going to say who it was. I don't want to incriminate anybody, but yeah. It's cool to be around the fighters in the building. It sounds silly, but to see what people are eating, see what people's routines are like, this is a side of the sport you don't get to see very often. It's cool to see what they go through, in the middle of fight week.
Definitely, and yeah, keep it on this channel. We'll have plenty more updates. Yeah, like I said, weigh-ins and press con tomorrow. Yeah, and we're on Spotify now, Dark Side. So if you want to listen instead of watching it, you can go there as well. I'll try and upload it as soon as possible onto Spotify. And also go check out John's. Where can everyone find you, John? When the All-Star, go download the All-Star app. Basically, if you want to put a wager on this fight night event, if you want to lose all your money, backing my picks, or your virtual money, your points, whatever, go download the All-Star. Put your money where your mouth is, right?
Exactly. Put your money where your mouth is. Go download the All-Star app. Go to the All-Star YouTube channel, and then you can find the link over there. And you could go watch my interviews with some fighters that you might know. I don't know.
You probably heard of them.
Yeah, you probably heard of these guys.
Well, cool, guys. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Nick, John. Nick, safe travels over there. John, good luck with everything. Keep the internets coming, or the interviews coming. Excuse me. And we'll be back. Yeah, the internet's alwa's it's not going anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Clearly, I need to go have some more coffee.
Asia's produced the internet. We know. We know.
Yeah, keep the internet coming, would you? All right. Well, we'll be back for a fight companion in a few days' time. Lots of content on the channel between now and then. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yeah.